What's good with you, man? You're locked and loaded doing your podcast thing now. Love seeing it.
Thank you, man. I see that you guys are making play after play after play. I remember you guys talking about some of this stuff back in the day, and now just watching it all roll out is pretty dope.
Yeah, it takes a year or two for, the things that you plan out to kind of unfold. And let's be real, that's why people don't do what we do, is because it just takes a little too long. They like that instant gratification stuff. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah, man. I took what would be considered an L, about a year ago, and but all it did was roll out a whole new destiny for me in the same space, just on a whole different playing field. You know what I mean?
No, yeah, no, we've all watched that too. So
Yeah.
you're crushing it. We feel like we're crushing it. So now now we're gonna crush a podcast together. So
you guys drop books.
He dropped books.
What's up with that, man? I remember you talking about it on our podcast.
Yeah, man, it took me a little longer. I kept rewriting it, trying to get it right. And, it's really out there to just serve the entrepreneur, man. That's, wanting to build a badass network. I mean, the bottom line is you don't build anything great alone. You need relationships to really win. And so that's kind of been a huge part of the success that I've seen over all the years financially, but also just in my own personal life and my own happiness levels is like the people that are in my network, right? So I wrote that book. I'm writing a whole series of books, but I wanted to start with that one because that really was the focus that really helped build my success, was really the affiliate relationships, all those referral partners, the employees, partnering with Trevor, like all these people are my network, my employees, They're my network, the people I outsource things to, they're my network. And there's strategies that you don't read about in regular business books in there that I've, just my spin on things, my strategies that work for me, so I really wanted to put that out there, really just, keep pushing our brand forward, but also to serve other entrepreneurs, man, that I know are, there's a lot of people just like me out there, bro. You're one of them too. Like we don't come from anything being handed to us, and we don't know where to go, but we know that we're destined for something greater, right? And so, I just wanted to write that book for those people that, man, I don't care if you dropped out of high school, had a baby at 17, were a heroin addict. I don't give a shit where you come from, dude. Like, you can build something amazing, and you can do it a lot quicker and a lot more effectively and at a lot higher level when you get strategic about your network, so that's really what I kind of wanted the book to be for,
And what's the name of the book? Because we've obviously had five people asking.
Yeah, it's called The Ultimate Networking Machine, so it's becoming ultimate in building your network,
Hey, did you use the writer name Kale Greatman?
I did not, dude. I used my real name.
They should have.
Hey, that's so funny, but I saw you change it because somebody kept like biting off your profile. And all of a sudden, you just changed it over to Kale Greatman. I don't know if the two had anything to do with each other.
Well,
but
when they have underscores and stuff in the name, I was talking to actually Stuman about it in Cabo, and he's like, so I was kind of complaining. I was like, dude, I mean, I don't know why they keep poaching my personal account. There's not a huge following, but these guys know, like, say Real Business Owners has a big following, but like, we only have a few thousand people that follow us on our personal accounts. Like those are more intimate followers, right? And so they know by poaching those that they're going to get more engagement from that smaller list than a big list, right? And so if you have an underscore in your name or a period, they play on that. They can sneak in the little duplicates a lot easier. So my buddy Tony was like, well, bro, just change it without the underscore. And I'm like, there's already a Kale Goodman. And it's like this, 12-year-old kid, man. I already tried to message him, see if I could buy it, but it didn't work out. And then Stuman was like, Kale Greatman, so he's like, you should really do it. I was like, I'll really do it, so I just switched.
Yeah, that was pretty dope though. That was a cool little move, especially for like those who know you, you know what I mean? Like just know that you went from Goodman to Greatman. I think that shit was hilarious.
Evolution, right? Evolution.
Yeah. So. Hey, you said something a few minutes ago where you were talking about knowing that you're meant to do something great.
Yeah.
Where did that come from for you? Like, how did I know what it feels like, but I mean, explain it so maybe someone who doesn't really have that same understanding.
Man, it's always been in me, bro. And I believe it's in everybody, dude. When we're little kids, man, we're like, I want to be an astronaut. Like, you know what I mean? Like we believe that we can do something great, and we get fed this programming our whole life that dims that shit down. You know what I mean? And for whatever reason, and I'm super blessed for it, I've always just felt like I could do more. You know what I mean? Like I can be great at something. I can be successful. Success to me did relate to money. I had the rich uncle, like me, Trev talked a lot about that. I had influences in my life from a distance where I was like, man, that's a great life. I want that. And I can do that. Like I've always just had a weird little belief in myself that I feel like some people get dimmed down, even through all the things, man, like, all the childhood traumas and all the shit that people stay stuck in. Right. Like, I've always just felt like I'm capable. You know what I mean? I'm capable. And I believe everybody is, man. We see guys like Nick out there on stage that are literally born without limbs and they're out there crushing stages, making millions of dollars. Right. I have a full able body. I have a sound mind. I have all the ability in the world to do whatever the hell I want to do, man. Like Elon Musk is no different than anybody else, right? He just applied himself. And so at the end of the day, man, I've just always felt like I want to tap into that, So it's always been there. But I want everyone to bring it back to the surface that's dimmed it down so much that they don't think it's there, bro. So I'm like hoping that when people read my book, even though it is more for the starter entrepreneur, like anybody, man, at any different level, I hope if they read the book, that's the one thing that they get out of it is, man, like we're capable, we have abilities, and we should be tapping into that. We should be pushing ourselves for our greatness,
For sure. And I've always said that, business is just a conduit for personal growth anyways. So, I mean, as you level up personally, your business will level up, and they kind of intertwine with one another. I mean,
it's been the best thing ever. Yeah.
Do you share that same thought about being great, Trevor, as far as like what he was saying, like you just always knew?
I always knew that I wanted to be rich and that I was going to be rich, so it wasn't necessarily, I didn't use the word great. I just looked around my current environment, which wasn't the best environment in the entire world. Right. When you live in not the nicest area, the individuals that also live in not the nicest area are usually not the individuals that you want to influence you. But in, the poorer neighborhoods, what do you do when you're 10, 11, 12? You look at the 14, 15, 16-year-olds and you want to do what they're doing. By then, they're already smoking, they're already drinking, they're already doing all these things. And so by default, if you think that they're cool, then whatever they're doing is cool. So I looked around my environment and I got sucked into it. But I would see the houses and see the neighbor. I was very embarrassed about the house I grew up in. And so that kind of hit home for me. I didn't want people to even know where I lived. I just said over there by that golf course, because people associate golf course with something nice, right? But I didn't want them to really, really know. And so just at a young age, I knew I just didn't want to live like that for the rest of my life. I looked around and said to myself, this isn't okay. And I want to be rich one day. And so I knew that I would figure out a way. I didn't know exactly how. And I think that that's important. I think a lot of people think that they have to have the how figured out in order to have a dream of something great. You don't, right? You have to have the dream of something great in order to find your how. Right. Yeah. And so you'll find a way as long as the dream is great enough and you start pursuing it along the way. You'll get to the point where you're like, okay, this is how I'm going to do it. You just slowly start moving the needle. But if you don't even have a dream, you're never going to find how to get to this amazing place or find greatness or ever be rich, so to speak. Right.
Yeah. I think that also there's an inner dialogue that happens. You know what I mean? Like for you to say like, I don't like what's going on around me and I want to do something different. And I want to chase a dream that I have and not just follow the standard matrix of a 9 to 5 or whatever that may be. For me, I've always kind of fell out of the mold. I was never, every time I tried to follow the rules as far as like what society pushes on you, whatever the program is, it just never felt right. You know what I mean? It was like opposite ends of a magnet or the same ends, whatever that is that pushes away. You know what I mean? And I always tried, and I just always went the opposite direction with it, and always found my own way to get what I wanted. Has that been like that for you as well?
Go ahead. Yeah, I mean, it has for me, dude. You know what I mean? I couldn't conform to. I wasn't the best at school. I wasn't the best at following all the rules. You know what I mean? And honestly, it's a blessing, man. Those are the people that are meant to go out and do something different. You know what I mean? Like that. Everything that's great was kind of against the system or the molding that they're trying to do. And don't get me wrong, I mean, there's great things to it too, man. Like none of this would be possible without those people that do conform, and they like the comfort of having the structure, and they like the employee mindset or whatever, right? Like, dude, none of this would be possible without those people. But for those outliers,
likes the stress of being an entrepreneur and being a leader or anything like that. Like I've talked to so many people where it's just like, man, I don't even want nothing to do with that. I won't touch that life with a 10-foot pole. You know what I mean? And I understand that, but there's others that, just like you said, have that calling, have that inner dialogue that doesn't care about how much weight how much weight it is on your shoulders to get to where you're trying to get to. You just kind of accept it as this is a part of where I'm going.
Well, dude, the biggest thing
I know you guys know that.
The biggest thing we can relate it to is risk, bro. Not everybody wants that risk. You know what I mean? But those are the people that have enough faith to take the giant risks that nobody else will take, that build the best companies, that build the best anything, right? The best cultures, best everything. And so you need those risk takers, man. But it's okay, man. Like I'm super grateful for the people that are like, I don't want the risk, man. I want to come in here and crush it within your company and hit break the ceilings and make 6 figures, multi-6 figures, 7 figures as an employee for you. And those people are super valuable. Like I got a lot of gratitude for those people. But for people like what we're talking about, the outliers, the people that couldn't kind of conform to the system and couldn't be told what to do very easily and, didn't do great in school because of those things, like those people are risk takers, man, and they can go build cool shit. If they can find what we talked about a minute ago, if they can find like their dream, like what they really want to achieve, if they can find something so passionate that they can commit to it, then dude, they'll find the how, just like Trev said.
I mean, I honestly, I don't think it's bad to work for other people as long as you're, happy with where you're at. It's a positive environment for your mental health, and you feel as though that you're contributing in a positive way to a culture, to a company, to a business, to a cause that's greater than you as an individual, right? Mm-hmm. Like we all should be contributing to something that's greater than us as individuals, right? Whether it's through your church, or whether it's through the company that you work for, whether it's through, charity work, and you're working in the Boys and Girls Club, or you're serving homeless people. You should be doing something to serve others, and you should be doing that at a high level, whether that's through entrepreneurship or whether you work for an entrepreneur and you're serving that individual at a high level. People don't understand the amount of stress, the burden that business puts on the shoulders of entrepreneurs. If somebody felt that for a week, a day, a fucking hour, in the worst hour of entrepreneurship, they wouldn't want to touch that shit with a 10-foot pole. So individuals that actually, if they actually understood it, I think that they would show up in a different manner to the employer that they work for, because they would want to figure out ways to relieve stress, ways to add value to the individual that's giving them the opportunity to keep a roof over their head. Not only that, why would you not want to, serve a customer or a client at a high level, even if you don't own the company? That's an investment into yourself, just in general, just being a good human being. There's nothing wrong with showing up and contributing at a level of 100%, even if the business isn't yours, right? I used to work for Kale. I showed up 100% every single day. That's why I made 6 figures when I worked for him. That's ultimately what put me in the situation to now be sitting next to him as one of the partners of a whole bunch of shit. Like, so that people understand, like, we don't even say everything that we do. People don't know 100% of what goes on behind the scenes. They don't know the amount of consistency, the stress, the investments, everything that we've ever done to put ourselves in the situation that we're in. And if we peel back the curtain 100%, maybe some people wouldn't want the entrepreneurship life because it ain't for everybody. Not everybody could hack it. But if you bear that amount of weight and stress, it's damn near impossible not to get stronger, as long as you don't fold, as long as you don't quit and give up. It doesn't matter what it is. It's just about making it through that day. Whatever that day's trials are, make it through that fucking day. See another day. You do that over and over. There's plenty of times that I've wanted to quit and give up. There's plenty of times that Kale's wanted to quit and give up. The difference is we just didn't do it. That's it. We just showed up for one more fucking day. Next thing you know, we're 10, 11 years into our partnership, and we're both rich. You know what I mean? And we're getting richer every single day. It's literally like we've given 10 years of our life to finally be in the moment that we're in right now. And I don't think people. What's that?
Where does it go from here then? What's the next?
All the last 10 years was a tee up, bro.
Yeah.
This is where it fucking matters right now.
Let's go.
The last 10 years was just a setup for the next 2 fucking years. And we already know if we crush the next 2 years, the game is ours. The world's in the palm of our hand. We know that for a fact, right? And so we're being very strategic about all the things that we're doing. We're being very strategic about putting leadership in place in our companies because there's a billion different opportunities that present themselves to us on a day-to-day basis. And so if we stay in the weeds for too long, in other words, day-to-day operators, we're going to ultimately take away from even our people, our employees, because then they have less of an opportunity to step up to a leadership status and make more money, right? Yep. So if we remove ourselves from that top layer, there's a new person that goes up to the top layer, and then everybody else is slowly shifting up to that next top layer. And that's how you ultimately elevate and scale a business. And the idea is to scale it to the point where you're not 100% needed, right? Like, even though that doesn't feel good to say because it's kind of an ego play after putting 10 years into something, you want to feel needed. Your ego says nobody could do what you could do the way that you could do it. Well, that's bullshit. There's been other accounting firms without us be successful. So they don't necessarily need us, but we do need the right leaders and not necessarily us, right? And so people need to understand and put the ego aside and say, you know, in order for us to continue to grow and provide more opportunities for our people, we have to get to the point where we exit the day-to-day and focus on new opportunities that ultimately flood our current business with more business, which is more opportunity for them to make money, right? And so that's kind of, I went off on for 5 minutes.
No, you're good.
Really fucking dude.
Hey, a really good example of that is Kason. You guys, I mean, we've heard his past. He came from, humble beginnings. He lost his way, found himself, got with you guys, started crushing it. And now I see him stepping up as a leader as well. I see him doing, standing up on podiums and speaking in front of people, doing public speaking, starting to do his events as well. I'm sure, Kale, you started that for Trevor. Trevor, now you guys are passing that down to Kason, and it's just going to keep continuing. You know what I mean? I really respect that you guys are doing that. Instead of being like an egotistical type of leader where you get scared if somebody, steps up to your plate or whatever it may be.
Well, I mean, we've been selling a dream to our employees for a long time, and it's not just to get us rich, right? We've been selling a dream of we're going to make millionaires in this company. Kason's the first one to do it as an employee, right? He owns assets. He's been following our lead and saying, hey, I'm making all this money. I'm putting in the extra work. Not only am I getting promoted and making more, but he's been like, I'm going to invest like you guys are. He's in a lot of the investments we're in, right? And so he's out buying his own real estate properties. He's out. And so on paper, this dude is a millionaire because he's been throwing his money at assets as he's been making it. But he made a lot of sacrifices of time in order to put himself in that position, which obviously made him more visible to us to say, that's our dude. Right. And so he's a huge entrepreneur here, and I'm sure he'll go on to do his own things one day. But like, he's going to help see this thing to the finish line with us. And when we have that type of commitment, we owe it to back up the dream we've been selling him and saying, we're going to make millionaires here, and we're going to make a lot of them. We're not going to just, and that's when we say what's next. Like, that's what's next, man. We're going to continue to keep reinvesting into our business to elevate everybody else. Now that we have a cash cow built and we can feed our legacy as well, we can build our assets, we can build, our investments, we can build our family legacies outside of the company because we have the cash cow to do it. But we can also, because we're strategic with the money and how we handle things and how we develop leaders, we can also pour back into the company with that tool, which is money, to continue to elevate everybody else and make them millionaires like we talked about. And so it's cool, man. Like, we've been saying that for a few years. Kason's already there. We got other guys that are throwing money at investments. And, we've had some people that weren't cut out for it, man. Like, people we thought that we've invested a lot into that were like, you know what? That, like, we're selling the same dream to them, but they couldn't buy into it. And so as we start making these new shifts and these new directions in the company, like Tyler came to me. He's like, man, like, are we doing something wrong? We just lost some key people. I'm like, no, dude, we're doing everything right. Because the fact that we're making these shifts and these moves in the right direction to continue doing the right thing, they weren't cut out for it. It's not for them, and that's okay.
Yeah.
You know, the right people, that just made room for the right people to come in that want to be millionaires. That
relationship cycle just ended is all it really is, man. You know, they came to the table, they were in your life for the amount of time they were supposed to be, and they moved on.
Yeah. And even if they leave in kind of a dirty way, you know, which happens, it's like, dude, we want them to still go out and win, bro. We want them to win. Like, we don't wish that ill on people. I mean, we got to protect what we have, but we want them to win. We want them to leave here better than they were before they came in here. And even if they left in what we feel like is the wrong way, they did. They left better than they came in, every single one of them. So, and we've lost a few key people that we really loved and poured a lot into, but it's like, man, I just want them to go win. We're going to keep doing what we're doing. We're going to keep winning too. You know,
well, what people need to understand is when you're scaling and growing a business, there's a lot of adjustments on the way, right? And so when you're making adjustments as you're growing and scaling a business, you might be putting new systems and processes in place. You might say, okay, guys, this is kind of the next level of our business. Here's the new standard that we operate at, right? Good is no longer good enough, right? Like, we have to be great. Here's the new standard. You've got to do this, 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 and this. And here's the protocol. If you don't follow that, you're just not on the squad. You're not meant to be with us, right? And so some people, as you tighten things down and try to create more of an actual business rather than just a group of individuals putting out fires every day, taking orders, trying to fulfill the orders. Hey, you do that, you know, like, it's literally like herding cats if you really don't have, you know, good systems and processes in place.
You got to get going.
You're a startup podcaster, so you're just kind of throwing it together right now. And then as you see the glitches or see things happening that need to be adjusted, then you make those adjustments.
Now I'm drawing off the internet from 60,000 square feet away. So this side right here, we're still building. You know what I mean? So they haven't came and put the actual internet, you know, modems and shit on this side. So everything's still running off of that side over there.
Well, maybe God decided that the people weren't ready for it. You know what I mean? For the message.
Yeah, for that knowledge.
He's like, whoa, let's cut that out. Whoa,
he's like, you're talking too much, man. Give them too much juice.
Yeah. Too much game. They got to figure this shit out themselves. You know, they got to go through it the hard way.
Hey, let me ask you guys something, man. Something that I'm really curious about. Why do you do the shit that you do? Why? Well, why do you wake up? I mean, obviously, besides the monetary success, why? Like, why? What for? What gets you going every day?
I don't know, man. I've had people say that they don't like this answer, but bro, like, the second I became a father, I want to build something so great for them, dude. Like, I was just actually talking to Justin Prince. He was on our podcast the other day. I was just talking to him, and his message is something that I've always really resonated with. And his message is be the one, right? Mm-hmm. Which is like, man, I don't have anybody in my heritage that I can look back to that was very close, that's like built something like amazing, where they can look up and be like, that's the dude that changed the game for our entire family, right? Like, You know what I mean? So, the Rothschilds. I mean, somebody took the leap of faith, went all in, built something amazing that changed the course for their entire family legacy. And so I've always felt like that. I'm like, I'm going to break the mold, man. No one went to college. Hardly anyone even graduated high school in my family. All my cousins, all the people, like, I have one successful like family, like monetarily in my entire family. And it was great to watch that life. But even then, bro, like, I don't know, I want to do something so much greater than even that, right? Like, I want to do something that's like, damn, you're a Goodman. Like, are you related to Kale Goodman? Like, bro, I want that. I want those type of conversations for my great grandkids, you know, whatever, 100 years from now. You know what I mean? So I don't know, man. I really resonate with that message. I've always felt like I'm going to break the mold. And so ever since I became a father, that shit is just wired in me, you know? So
that's dope, man. You just had a baby too, right?
Two. She's just turned 2. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
we're done after that one.
Yeah. Still, that's still a baby, man. My daughter just turned 3, so she's still new. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, leading employees and, you know, businesses and things, it's different than leading your children, bro. That's something I'm very focused on right now. I'm like,
let's touch on that actually. What are some of the strategies and parenting strategies that you use to kind of keep a house in control?
Well, dude, I talk really real with them, bro. I talk advanced with them. Like, we talk about personal growth. We talk about, possibilities. We talk about, putting in the work first, before we reward ourselves. Like, my son loves gaming, dude. And like, I'm kind of like, what's the right thing to do here? Right. You got some people that are like, boom, you can't do that shit. Then you got some people like Gary Vee that are like, why take that away from him? That's the way the world's going. He could be ultra successful in it, right? And so I just try and build some structure to it, like, hey, it doesn't matter. There's all these, things that you've got to do first before you can go up and work on that stuff there, right? Like, if he loves gaming, dude. I don't understand it, but well, I understand how you can get sucked into it. I've been sucked into games with them before. You know what I mean? But like, just for example, though, bro, like I'm not here to choose. I don't want my perception of what success is to be their perception of success. I want to be an example of success to them. Like, damn, dad went out and did this shit because he put in the work first, right? Before he came home and relaxed for the day, or rewarded himself with a vacation, or rewarded himself with anything, right? Like, I always put in the work first, and I want to be an example for that. I want to teach that to them, so that they have the tools for whatever their perception of success is. If one of my sons is like, dude, I am so happy being the best high school coach in baseball for the entire western part of the United States, like, he's like the best well-known high school coach, like, cool, man. I don't care if you make 30 grand or $300 million a year. If you're happy and that's your perception of success, I just want to teach you how to go all in on it, man, so that you feel that feeling of success. Because success isn't a number, bro. As we've gotten older, right, and because for a long time, Trevor and I grew up poor. Our idea of success is money. And money is a huge tool for that.
You had to become a millionaire.
You had to become a millionaire to be successful, right?
Yeah.
So now that we're there, it's like, oh, money's actually not that satisfying. It's just a tool to really achieve success, which is happiness, bro. It's happiness. And I want my children to be happy. And so that's what we talk about. And that's what I try and build my structures around. I don't try and tell them, no, you're not going to be successful gaming. You're not going to be successful, coaching, whatever, little league baseball. Like, I try and teach them that, hey, if you want to be successful at that, you've got to be the best at it. And that's where you get fulfillment. And so if that's what you choose, I want to teach you how to go all in on it. Right. So
what about my style? What about like financially as well? So when I read Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad Poor Dad, he mentioned the importance of not just giving your kids money, but teaching them how to make money so that they can fund whatever it is that they want to do, as opposed to always relying on you to be the supporter financially. Is that something that you instill in them as well?
I do. I agree with that. We talk about that, but I still got to get better at that, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like, my son right now, he's going to be 16. And, bro, he's full-time at the gym. He's full-time at baseball practice. Kid's up before I am. He's out working out later than I am. So he's truly grinding because he wants to be a D1 athlete. He wants to go as far as he can in baseball. And I'm pushing him to believe in himself to do that. So I'm like, I'm buying him a car. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not making him go out and earn it, right? Like, but part of me struggles with that, but you know what I mean? But he's working his ass off. And so, like, I guess it just depends on the situation. But, dude, I want my kids to earn everything, right? To me, I'm like, you are earning it. You're literally spending 10 hours of your day, 12 hours of your day grinding in your craft. I mean, the kid's watching baseball videos. He's out hitting off the tee at night.
Yeah, so he's dialed in.
Yeah, he's dialed, dude. So I'm like, I'm going to get him a car. But here's the thing, bro. I run his ass a lot. And so does his mom, and so does his stepmom, and so does his stepdad. So buying him a car actually helps us a little bit too. He can run himself, so it's like there's for that situation, I'm like, I'm going to buy him a car instead of making him go out and actually hustle for the money, because he's actually hustling for his dream right now. So I agree with Robert Kiyosaki though, bro. There's nothing greater than teaching your kids to fucking earn what they want.
Yeah, there was a situation with my daughter where she wanted something that cost about $1,000. And I said, all right, I can give you the money, or I can show you how to make $1,000. If I give you the money, when that runs out, you're going to just come ask me for another batch of money for whatever your next project is. Yeah. As opposed to having this knowledge of how to generate money from nothing. So let's say you have zero to invest. I showed her how to create an entire marketing campaign, how to turn literally zero. She was pretty good with graphics. So I showed her how to make a mock-up t-shirt. It was a mock-up t-shirt she put up on her own, She had her own order system set up. Everybody put in orders. I showed her how to do a P&L, so she actually knew what her real profit was. And she took that profit and got what she wanted. But now the more valuable lesson is knowing how to actually generate something from absolutely nothing. So you'll never have an excuse to be without.
Dude,
that was more of what was important in that situation for me than anything.
Dude, it's so important, bro. It's so important. But yeah, absolutely. I agree with Robert Kiyosaki. I agree with what you're doing, man. Like giving them the tools is the best thing that we can do, right? We're out doing it. We're out leading by example. That's huge. But the next step is you got to give those tools to them so that they can go out and apply to earn what they want, right? So I agree with that fully.
For sure. Something you said earlier about Kaysen was an intrapreneur. I don't think I personally ever heard that term. Can you kind of elaborate on that?
Well, Kaysen could go out and build a badass business. He's got all the ability in the world to do it. You know, he's a great leader. He's a hustler. He works hard. He does all that stuff. But he's found something that gives him purpose here, right? Like he's come in and he's like, dude, I love this. This company's helped me so much. I want to be a part of it. Right. And so even though they weren't there in the very beginning, when the ultimate risk was taken to like shell out the money and, you know, everything, right, all the risk that it takes to get something off the ground, he came in at a time and saw, oh, my gosh, dude, I can make this better. Right. I can come into the board meetings. I can lead. I can take things off of Trevor and Kale. It's the same thing Trev did. Trev was an entrepreneur. Right. Like Trev, I didn't have to partner with Trev. Like, yeah, we hit a time of business where it was like, holy shit, bro. Like we've got to do some shit if we're going to rebuild this, or we can all just go work for somebody else. Right. But I was like, bro, Trev is a great leader where I'm not. Right. Like I'm great at visionary shit and actually pushing the needle and getting things going. But I'm not great at leading people and managing people. And like, cause I'm too soft in those areas, bro. Like someone wants an advance on their paycheck. I'm like, sure. Like, I promise I'm not on drugs. I just need an advance. Okay, I believe him. And like Trev's like, bro, I'm gonna teach you a lesson here, right? And I mean, it's gonna be for your own benefit. I wasn't as good at that shit, but overall, Trevor had all the attributes of a great leader. I have attributes of a great leader, and so it's like I want to partner with Trevor. Like he's great in areas that I'm not. We could build something great together. I can always go build a good business, even a great business. I can do something even greater with somebody that has strengths that I don't. And so same thing with Kaysen. He comes in, he's like, okay, I have purpose here. I know I can see, I can bring this thing to the finish line. I know that I can be a part of those big decisions and those hard leadership tasks. And so he's like, look, I'm going to build my wealth within this organization, even though I wasn't here in the very beginning, even though I don't have that stamp of ownership. Bro, the dude makes more than some of the partners, bro. Like,
yeah, dude, I never heard that terminology. And actually that's where I feel like I went from an entrepreneur with my own brand that I was pushing. And I found this opportunity. Well, it kind of found me, but it put me into an entrepreneur position because I found that I can add value in so many places within this organization. And they were extremely receptive to my ideas. And so I felt like it just kind of put the battery in my back because now I have the resources to move a lot faster with the things I was trying to do before anyways. And so I think a lot of the great entrepreneurs out here.
Yeah, I think a lot of great entrepreneurs start as an entrepreneur somewhere else.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
I agree.
It starts with something that a company that you don't own. It starts with just being a good employee, looking for ways to contribute. That's really what it's about. That's an entrepreneur. How can we make this better? How can we tweak this? How can we change that? How could we enhance the customer experience? How could we increase conversions? How could we, increase profit margins without cutting into the customer experience? Like these are all different things that entrepreneurs do, right? Like they're hiring, they're firing, it's almost like basically COO, Chief Operating Officer. That's an entrepreneur in large organizations. That individual that's running a $50 to $100 million business could probably go set up and start his own business, but why go do that when you can be a part of something much bigger, right? Like you could have 100% of a grape or a slice of a watermelon, right? Which one's greater? You know what I mean? And so when you could be a COO and be with that watermelon and get a slice of that versus owning just a little pea size of 100% of the pea size business that you have to scale, that's going to be a lot more headache. In regards to that, it's also the people that they get to be surrounded by. They're learning while they're making money. Kaysen has grown so much over the last 5 years that he's been with us, right? Like his habits are different. Like the way he thinks is different. The way that he views money is different, right? He uses money as a tool, like Kale was saying. He makes investments. We preach to our people, be smart with your money, make investments, live beneath your means. We all have a season of life or a window of life. Maybe it's the time between we're 25 and 45 years old, that 20-year season that we're really in our prime mentally, energetically, everything. Yeah, some people say 18-year-olds your prime, but you're not thinking like an adult at 18. You're still worried about the weekend. So I can't really call that the prime. Maybe your energetic prime where you can pound 20 beers and wake up the next morning and feel fine. If that's a talent that paid, every fucking kid would be rich by the time they're 21, right? But unfortunately it's not. So I believe that we have 15 to 20 year run that will determine how your whole life ends up. And I believe that 15 to 20 year run is between the ages of 25 and 45. Somewhere in between there will ultimately what you do in that period, whether it's gaining information, then to use at 45 years old to make a 10-year tear. But that window is the opportunity for most individuals so that you could put in the time, the money, the energy, the effort, the resources, surrounding yourself by the right people, traveling to meet new people, the networking, everything. All of that's you're going to have the energy to do all of that in between those years. And so I take these years very, very seriously. I came off of drugs at 24 and I got very committed at 25. And I said, by the time I'm 40 years old, work is just going to be an option. I will show up still because I enjoy the process. I enjoy being around my people. I enjoy being on the front lines, but it will be just that. It's an option to show up, not a have to show up.
Oh, that was powerful, man. I think that now that I understand that terminology, I don't understand why that's not being promoted more. As opposed to everyone always wanting to be the leader of the ship or, always wanting to be the front man. It seems like everybody wants to be the front man. Nobody really wants to be number 2 or number 3. I think that those people are incredibly important because they help number 1 get to where number 1's trying to go to. And in turn, you're getting what you want as well.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, if they can make the type of money that they want to make and create a life that they want to make inside of a system or organization, without having to take the risk, without having to take on 100% of the stress alone, like, why not? So, and I think that that's a lesson right there. Are you really trying to build a business that's big enough to allow people to end up having opportunities like that? Like,
were you guys thinking that early on is like, look, I want to help other people get to a higher level and while I grow? Or is that just kind of like a byproduct of what you were already doing?
No,
you evolve.
That was developed, man. That's the thing about vision, bro, is it evolves. Like Trevor was just saying, man. Like I just gave a talk at the Startup Grind not too long ago, and that's what the whole talk was about. It's like, look, I've been in business for 15 years now. First 5 years, total cash grab. I didn't care about nothing but getting money in the bank, dude. That's it. Sales tactics were shitty and shady. Fulfillment was weak. We didn't do a great job, but we would sell our motherfucking asses off because that's what we came from, as a culture of that. And we thought we were doing like the right thing that we needed to do to just get rich. It was pretty selfish, right? And that's kind of what I think selfish is when you're taking advantage of other people for your own gain, And so something happened after about 5 years of being in business. I went through divorce. I went through my own personal development journey, and I was like, man, I don't feel good about this anymore, and that's when Trev was there at the company, kind of being the sales manager and the leader of that entire department. We started just slowly making changes, man, trying to be better at fulfillment. We figured out that, if we fulfill better and customers stick longer, it actually might be, might be more successful. We might build more long-term clients. But here's the thing, dude, is these last 5 years, when we both went down this road of masterminds and personal growth and really building something that's great, not just mediocre, it's like all about elevating the people around us, dude. It's all about lifting them up, because if I make millionaires in my company over and over again, I'm going to be a billionaire, right?
Exactly.
Like,
yeah. It's like, what does it say about you if you're making
5
millionaires? Yeah.
Yeah. So I tell people all the time, man, I would love for your business first 5 years to be like our last 5 years. But unfortunately, you're probably going to have to go through some of those lessons on your own. But by learning from people like us that have done all three of those buckets, 5, 10, and 15 years, and kind of that shift, like they can speed that process up quite a bit quicker, man. So.
Yeah. And speaking of learning from you guys, it's a great segue into talking about your mastermind. I think it's super dope that you guys are doing that. I think you should have done that shit a long time ago, but I'm glad it's here now. So please speak on that, man. How's that going?
I'll let Trev talk on it, but I will say we had the biggest gains out of the higher level masterminds where everyone paid the larger fee to be there. So we wanted to start with a group of that, like the OGs, right? And really build something cool there. But there is a ton of value in getting the right information to the starter entrepreneur that can't afford to slap down 25 or 50 G's just to be in a club, right? So we are going to create, that's the second thing we're going to create, is more of a online community that we're very active in, that will be a smaller price point to start getting people the information to go to the higher price point. But the higher price point, and for networking and relationship building, like, dude, the higher level is so valuable. But in order to get there, we want to create that stepping stone as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I just want to go back real quick before I jump forward to the mastermind thing. Okay. So I want to talk about just something just real quick that's highly, highly important. You know, when you're talking about entrepreneurs, you're talking about leaders, individuals operating your company. They have to be financially rewarded. They have to. Yeah. But secondly, they can't be financially rewarded immediately. If they're buying into the long-term vision of the company and they're unproven in terms of that leadership ability, operating the day-to-day, you can't pay them like they're going to be operating the day-to-day without the proof that they can actually do it. So we go to them and say, look, as entrepreneurs, we have to put in a lot of extra work for not seeing any result for 6 to 12 months. The result comes way after. And you guys are going to experience that at this point. So if you guys are bought into the long-term vision, and our vision, again, is to create millionaires within the organization, and obviously starts with the core people that are rolling with us, right? And so we sit here and pitch that and present that, but there's no additional financial gain immediately. They have to prove, just like an entrepreneur, that they're of value and that they can provide the type of value that you need in order to step back. And once they do that, they start getting rewarded. And you have to honor your word. It can't just be fucking fluff. Yeah. You can't just say, you will, and drag it on forever. But it does need to be dragged on for a little bit. Okay. It has to, because they have to feel the pain of taking on more and not receiving more. That's just the way entrepreneurship works. And if they want to make money like an entrepreneur, they're going to have to go through some of the pain and struggles and evolution that entrepreneurs go through. So it took about 6 months. We said, hey, show us that you can do what we want you to do over the next 6 months. And in January, you guys will be rewarded. So now some of them get a little bit of a little overrides, right? Some people in one of our other companies, we do a little bit of profit sharing. That, you know, so we want to include them in the wins that the company's having so that they continue to stay bought in for the long-term mission. So that's that. Okay, we can go ahead and swipe that
well,
off.
I got to say,
that was hot. That was hot.
That's one of his zone of geniuses, man. That's exactly what I was talking about. What I saw in him is he doesn't allow people to stay in their comfort zone, right? If you go throw a bunch of money at a, hey, I need you as a key player because you're talented, and you create a comfort zone instead of making them earn it, you know, you kind of screw them and you screw yourself. And so that is something Trevor's always been very gifted at, is like, okay, well, how can we create the system for them to earn it, for them to have the big reward with us later? And they can't get comfortable if they're going to do that. So he's not only great at identifying when people are in a comfort zone, but what it's going to create a comfort zone. And because of his leadership skills, that's been huge for us to be able to say, hey, if we're going to develop leaders, we got to make sure that they never hit these comfort zones, right? And if we do, I'm the type, I'll be like, I want to reward you now, right? Like you're so, I need you, like you're stepping up, you're doing this, and I see all this greatness in you, and I'll just throw it at them too quick, right?
Yeah.
So that's where we see
what happens with that though. What have we learned when we've done that? Because we have done that.
Create entitlement.
We create entitlement.
Yeah, bro, I'm guilty of that too, man. That was one of the frustrating things in my financial world was they would like ask, and I would like Kale, I'd be like, okay, I'll give you a little advance or whatever. And then it was like, it was becoming more and more frequent. And then it was like, they wanted raises more, and it was just like always wanting something. And it really
isn't it crazy?
Yeah,
bro, I love rewarding, but isn't it crazy how when they're like, now they start expecting, you're like, whoa, I feel like a dagger in my back right now. You serious? When have I never not rewarded you, right? Like now you want me to like just give to you and you've gotten comfortable. Like, so when expectations like that happen because you've rewarded so well, it creates a problem. I love rewarding, bro.
I've even been guilty of being that type of person.
Is huge.
I've been guilty of being that type of person where I was making somebody else millions of dollars, and I was managing one of their offices, and Christmas time came, and I was like, oh, I'm about to get a Rolex, like 10 G's cash. I was like, that's what I was expecting. And I got like an iPad or something. I was fucking pissed, bro. Like I was really upset, but I was like, that was like a reality check for me at the same time. Like, you know what I mean? Like, who do you think you are to think that you deserve anything, really? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I saw the same thing happen when I stepped up, ran my own organization. It was Christmas time to cash everybody out. I gave like 10 dudes $1,000 bonus, and they were like, oh, all right. And I was like, it was like payback. You know what I mean? Like I felt exactly what that guy felt when I did that to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to create it. You give too quick, then they get relaxed, they get comfortable, they get a little bit of an ego, and they expect more each year. If you give them a 10 grand raise or 20 grand raise 1 year, next year, if it's a $5 grand raise, which is still $100 more per week, which is a good raise, in their eyes, it's not good because they've already seen something different. So you've got to be very, very strategic and very careful about how you reward people and how quickly you reward people, or you're going to create entitlement. You're going to create more issues than you are solutions within your organization or within your business.
And then it's not elevating them anymore. You're just throwing money at them and actually feeding a problem.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
So
glad hopefully somebody learns from that. That was pretty dope.
Yeah. I mean, sorry for, again, kind of veering back to that.
No, hey, another thing, shout out to Kason. He's been the star of this entire podcast, man. That guy's, he's rocking it, man. He's like every story. It's all about Kason. I love it though, but he's a great example of like everything that we've been talking about, A to Z, man.
Yeah.
And he's going to enjoy the fruits of his labor, over the next 5 to 10 years. I guarantee it. He's got 2 or 3 rental properties in Florida. He's making a lot of the right decisions based upon all the wrong decisions that we made, because we're like, yo, do this with all that money. We did something different when we first started seeing money. So, that's really what it's all about, right? Is passing down those lessons to those other individuals that you kind of see a lot of similarities in yourself, right? You're like, man, I like this. We're cut from the same cloth, right? We're all hungry. We're all motivated. We're all salespeople. I did this wrong. Let's give him this nugget here, and hopefully, he can course correct way sooner than what it took us to do. But no, in regards to a mastermind, man, yeah, we've been asked about it for a year or two. In the do you guys do coaching, one-on-one stuff? Do you guys do group? No. And that's a lesson in of itself, because a lot of people just say yes, 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 yes. And at first, when you're a brand new entrepreneur, you have to pretty much say yes to everything so that you give yourself the most amount of opportunities to be successful. But as you actually climb the ladder of success and you are successful, and in other words, your time is now way more valuable. You have to be very selective about the yeses, and you actually have to start saying no a lot more to, different things. And so that's what we did. We said no to these one-on-one coaching, to the mastermind, to this, because we wanted to keep our main thing the main thing instead of chasing the new shiny object, right? Which we easily could have, and we probably could have made some okay money. But because we stuck with it, over the last 2 years, our income has jumped by $1 million. Like, on top of what we used to make, right? Yeah. And so that's because we kept the main thing the main thing. And now that the main thing is making us a substantial amount of money, our main focus is, okay, we're good. Trevor and Kale are good. Let's take care of our people. Let's build an organization where the lowest paid employee gets paid $20 an hour, $25 an hour. Let's create an organization that everybody's excited to show up to. right? And so that's really where we're at now. And we put leaders in place with that vision. That's what we want to try to create, so that me and Kale can now start focusing on helping other individuals. And again, we've helped up our internal employees, help them think different, help them see things in a way that's going to serve their future self, right? And that's what we want to do for entrepreneurs. We've always enjoyed the process of talking business and entrepreneurship. Look, we own an accounting firm. I'm not an accountant. Kale's not an accountant. Do I love crunching numbers? Absolutely not. But what I do love is the game. I love entrepreneurship. And I love entrepreneurship to the point where if we see a problem in an industry, we're going to want to fix it. And when we fix it, we're going to make it available to other people. The problem we saw in the accounting industry as entrepreneurs, every accountant, every CPA, they lack communication in the communication department. They lack getting you information, P&Ls, whatever it is, right? And we're like, well, those are two really minor things. If we can communicate at a high level and drop P&Ls each month, that's the thing that would separate us from the entire industry. We could do that. And so we do that, right? And so, it's the game of serving entrepreneurs in the entrepreneurship game that we love. So we're entrepreneurs operating a business, serving other entrepreneurs.
Yeah, which only is going to network you with more entrepreneurs at the same time. It has kind of like a double.
Yeah, I mean, they all feed each other, right? I mean, the universe is definitely looking out for us in regards to some of the opportunities that have been presented to us. But, we're super excited about it. We realized that, when we really started investing into ourselves, that's when we started leveling up. And it could be just a financial investment where you finally made an investment into you. You committed enough to yourself that you wanted growth, that you wanted evolution, that you spent money on you. You're not spending money on the individual facilitating the mastermind. They can be on stage talking. In a year from now, you won't remember hardly anything that they said besides a few notes that you might have in a notebook. But the relationships that you curate inside of these masterminds, some of the minor tweaks and changes, because most businesses aren't way off. They're not way out in left field. It's a little teeny tweak. It's a little teeny change. It's a minor adjustment. Again, just the old radio theory, right? That one tweak in that dial goes from static to perfect. And so a lot of businesses are like that. They're not far off. And so if we could see something from our perspective inside of their business, understand what their goals are, if we can help tweak, change, or adjust something and help elevate them, their families, their employees, it's just a whole ripple effect. If their business doubles, how many more people is that feeding? How many more kids get a sign up for baseball or whatever it is because their families now, has a job that's good paying, that and we're going to preach all this to the individuals that are in the mastermind. You got to take care of your people, and you got to do it at a high level if you want consistency for yourself. If you hire a bunch of low level type people, you're going to get very inconsistent results and a lot of I'm sick today, I can't come in, because that's the $10 an hour mindset.
So
right?
I'm actually glad you went that direction with what you were saying, because it kind of leads into what I wanted to ask you. Now, I've been all over the country in the last year, like everywhere. I've been everywhere. And the common thread that I see throughout all these different locations that I go to is staffing. People are having issues with staffing people. For instance, a company like, let's say, a big print shop who is doing miraculous things, working with Nike, working with Supreme, they're having issues staffing, and they're fighting with like local gas stations who are giving people $2,000 signing bonuses, $20 an hour. How do they compete with that? And not only that, but how do you find people who give a shit about what you're specifically doing?
Well, there's a couple different ways to go about it. One, you've got to be unique and different. Like if there's a bunch of other does the gas station, work on individuals' mindsets? Did they evolve working at a gas station, on their Monday morning meetings? Like literally just yesterday, we had a girl sit down and just say, I thought this was just another job. And then I heard you guys talk and realized it was something much more than that. Right. And so what are you putting out there, into the universe that is attracting what, I guess, low frequency people or whatever it is. Right. Also, you've got to be creative. You're talking about a $2,000 bonus. That's a little bit more creative. Kale heard a thing somewhere. I don't know where he heard it, but let's say, for instance, there's a job that's $70,000 a year. That's the paying rate for whatever that job description or title is. Let's say it's an accountant, for instance, right? Let's say we put an ad out for $70,000 for an accountant, and they already make $70,000. Why would they leave something that's very familiar to them for something that's unfamiliar for the exact same? There has to be, in order to go through unfamiliarity, in other words, discomfort, there has to be a greater reward than what they are currently experiencing, because they will ultimately go through some sort of fear, some doubt. Should I leave something that I've done for 5 years just to go here? Even if it's 10 grand more or 20 grand more, in cases that maybe I offer 80, maybe that 10 is just not quite enough, because again, there's so much discomfort. And I've worked where I worked for 8 years. I know what to expect every single day. Right. So we went through this issue ourselves, trying to find 3 new accountants / CPAs last year in the 4th quarter. Right. And so we put out ads that was typical to everybody else's ads. Right. And then we decided just to pay way, way more than anybody else is willing to pay. But Kale heard a cool concept of an individual that what he did is it was like a dream vacation or some shit. Let's say the industry average is $50,000 for a certain job. You can go ahead and put that you'll pay $50,000 or maybe $55,000 just to stand out a little bit, but also throw in the fact that they get to get a $5,000 per year dream vacation on top of that. That's one thing that they get to look forward to, every single year. And secondly, if you put at the 12-month mark, you get your dream vacation, you're also creating a long-standing employee that you're going to have at least for a minimum of a year.
Well, you're creating a lifestyle change too.
Correct.
You know what I mean? Some people, they don't.
Do you think that? Go ahead, Kale. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was going to say, some people, like their vacation right now, because of their combined incomes, is going to whatever dream vacation package for $5,000 to $10,000, where they can go do something tropical and badass and look forward to it, as long as they hit these parameters in their role. Like, that's a lifestyle change, bro. Like, that's what people want more money for anyway, right? So if they're like, dude, it's on the company, plus I get to make a little more money, that's a big incentive,
Yeah.
So
yeah, I really like that. So what I think is, a lot of times salaries are determined. Hey, appreciate you.
I got to go jump on this call I already had scheduled. Sorry, brother.
Don't worry. I appreciate you. Thank you. A lot of times I feel like salaries are determined by people who are trying to get the most for the least. And then that becomes the industry standard. You know what I mean? I think that's the
issue. The entrepreneur's mindset.
There's so many people that are greedy, and then that just becomes the industry standard, as far as like, look, this is all this position, I guess, is valued or worth to me as an owner is $50K or $60K. But really, the person's bringing a lot more value to the table. And I feel like a lot of employers, that kind of shoots them in the foot when they don't treat people right, especially financially, because really a lot of times people join the team to take care of themselves financially. You know what I mean? They have a specific skill or service that they provide, and you base that off of whatever you value that within your organization. And because there's been so many people that have scaled that back to like the smallest amount possible, and people settle for that. You know what I mean? I think that you guys expanding that back out is actually showing that you really do appreciate who's going to be coming in this position, and you're willing to, like you said, lifestyle change or salary change is extremely important.
Well, I mean, you're putting a price tag on your headaches and on your stresses. Why don't we distribute that between a group of individuals rather than just yourself, right? And so, I'm a big believer that you have to start paying individuals. Let's say, for instance, I want to build a $100 million company, and I need a COO that's high level, that's maybe done that before, but I'm only a $20 million a year company. I have to pay way greater so that I could eventually receive way greater. Right. And so if you continue to surround yourself with the exact same talent, in other words, the same price point for the exact same job for the last 10 fucking years, you're going to get the exact same result that you've received the last 10 fucking years. It's really not that difficult of a concept. So as you evolve as an individual, as your business evolves, so should the pay. Right. And so the idea is, again, we have a goal, a benchmark of we want the least paid employee to eventually get paid X in the organization. Why? Because I want to make sure that individuals don't struggle or hurt financially. That's important to me. I do not want to be surrounded by a bunch of low paid, low frequency individuals. I want the tide to raise all ships in our organization. That's just really what it comes down to. And if the individuals just don't fit that mold, then they're not going to be with us long term. Then they're not going to get those rewards long term, right? But the idea is start rewarding the individuals that have been around so that they don't get sour and bounce, where you create this issue of needing more individuals, right? And secondly, when you're looking for more individuals, be willing to take a step back personally, in terms of your finance, what you pay yourself, and pay those individuals. Because if I'm getting paid, let's say $500,000 a year, I'd rather get paid $300,000 a year with a lot less stresses and headaches than get paid $500,000 a year and always be dealing with the same bullshit or drama. Because if I'm freed up mentally and I'm thinking a lot more clearly, because I'm not bogged down, because I'm not stressed, I might have a different perspective. Okay. Sherry in Wonderland she must be a brilliant mind. She sounds like she's got everything figured out. Talking about the matrix, all that. I get the whole matrix working for people and all that. But at the end of the day, like this is the world. And, you could either understand the system and play your own game within the system, weaving in and out of the rules of the system. Here's the deal. I played in the Matrix, and I played in the Matrix so fucking good that just yesterday I wired $1.2 million cash for a property. That's how good I play in the Matrix, because I understand the rules of the game.
And I think the people that make those type of comments they don't understand how to play the game. They think that by avoiding it altogether means they're avoiding the Matrix or whatever it may be. You could understand the Matrix and play inside of it and not be in it per se. I think that there's I get what you're saying, dude. You don't got to get caught up in all the bullshit. Even in fucking The Matrix, Keanu Reeves still went into The Matrix, but understood the rules of The Matrix and made it his bitch. Like, let's be real. He made it his bitch. He was dodging bullets. He was doing whatever the fuck he wanted to, whooping up 100 different people. I'm out here dodging bullets and whooping up on 100 fucking people, and my bank account shows it. My family knows that they're going to be forever taken care of. I 3.2 acres, an orchard on it, a river running through it. Let's see if you could provide that for your family, being sour about the rules of the Matrix and the system. Boom. Be fucking better than the system. Be better than the Matrix. But guess what? The individuals that do want to play in the Matrix, so to speak, or in the system, make sure that if they're playing in your system, that you're rewarding them at a high level and that you're elevating them. There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah,
I don't
synergy
like
is absolutely necessary.
Either.
Having a team.
I would love to fucking trade a cow for the goat or for this. Like, if we were all back in the old, like, I would love that. Let's be real. You strip everything back. 99.999% of human beings right now couldn't survive, the way that it used to be. It just is what it is, right? It just is what it is. Yeah, and the 3.2 acres, Mr. Funny fucking guy, is 10 minutes outside of Zion's National Park, okay? And I passed up on 25 acres for that because it was just way better. I'm not trying to work my fucking land all damn day. I'm trying to enjoy a little chunk of land right outside the most beautiful area in the United States, which is Zion's National Park, okay? So I'd love to see this individual's bank account, 3.2, that's all good, right? Like, individuals, like, their frequency is so low. Instead of saying congratulations to somebody that's kicking ass and beat the system, they want to do a little laughy face emoji about 3.2 acres. There's a big difference between
those
me and
people
that
sit
individual.
in the back of the class, man. Just
no, it's all good. I like
highlighting
highlighting those motherfuckers.
Yeah.
I like highlighting them because they exist. Dumb motherfuckers out there like that person, they exist. And guess what? That's part of the game too.
That is the Matrix.
Deal with jokers.
That's the Matrix right there. They're trying to call out the Matrix when they're actually playing the role within the Matrix.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Trust me, I see those type of people all day long, man.
That's a Mr. Anderson in the Matrix. You know what I'm saying? And I'm fucking Neo. So you can come at me all you want, bro. I'll run fucking circles around you.
Let's go, bro. Let's go. Hey, I miss you, bro. It's been
I fucking miss you too. Don't get me fucking hot on a goddamn Wednesday.
Let's go, man. I love this. Yeah, this is where you're at right here. This is you right here. Pull it up.
Oh,
hey, so let me ask you, what is in the water in Utah, man? You guys are Utah's creating hitter after hitter after hitter, bro. I think all you guys out there are just killing it, bro. What is it about Utah?
You know, a lot of people in Utah, they have like 1 billion kids. So you kind of got to be rich if you're going to have 5 to 7 kids. You have no damn choice with that many mouths to feed, you know? Damn. So, but yeah, I don't know, man. There's a lot of cool people up in northern Utah, you know, that we do business with, that we make investments with, that have been doing really, really, really big shit. And you know, we're in our small little hub of southern Utah trying to do what we do. So trying to keep up with the big boys up north.
So I was in Montana last week, and I was with this group of VCs. These guys are making huge plays. I didn't try to pry too much. You know what I mean? I just kind of you just know when you're in that type of energy. And they were talking about not coming from, but like visiting St. George, and that they're like, they want to go down there because they love it so much. And I was like, man, I got people out there too. So I might be linking you up with some other guys from Montana, man, they don't play, dog. Like they're doing some big things over there.
Well, let's do it. Like, God, those are the type of people I enjoy surrounding myself with. Right. Yeah. So, that's who I run with, bro. I run with bulls, dude. That just is what it is. And sometimes I don't feel like a bull, you know, but I still run with those motherfuckers until I can bump shoulders with them, you know, and stand as high as they're standing in terms of, you know, the impact that they've made, the money that they've made, and, you know, the legacy that they're leaving for them and their families and everybody that works in their organization. Right. So, it's very rare anymore that I ever even kick it or hang out with anybody. And the only time I do is usually with people that are at a whole different level than me. Right.
Well, I think that naturally you raise your vibration, you raise your frequency, and then kicking it with people that aren't even anywhere near that. I mean, it doesn't even seem appealing to you. You know what I mean?
Well, anything that's outside of, you know, business, the gym and my family, I just usually don't make time for it. You know what I mean? And so business, I would say running with some of the bulls, you know, I put that kind of in the business category. And if I'm not running with bulls, I don't want to run. You know what I mean? It just doesn't make sense to me.
Agreed, man. Yeah, I think, you know, going back to the beginning of this conversation, as far as networking goes, that's been something that I've been blessed with, whatever the skill is, to be able to network and, you know, do it at a semi-high level. You know, a lot of the people that I actually give my time to are operating way higher than I am even currently. And, you know, something that a good friend of mine recently said, because I said, like, man, like I try to reach some of these people and it doesn't seem to really, like, I feel like they're maybe not taking me serious, or, you know, they just don't see the value that I have to offer. And he says, like, look, man, you got to understand, they have these things in front of them, and you have to present something that is more important than what they see in front of them in order for, like, them to give you the time that you're looking for to even have this type of conversation. And it was something that really stuck with me. You know what I mean? And
that's a fact, dude. I mean, it wasn't more than, you know, 2 months ago that I walked away from a company that me and Kale invested in. You know, I was going to the meetings once a week, trying to help it progress and move forward. When it came to the realization, like I talked about earlier in the conversation, the power of saying no, saying yes to everything to the point where it drains your energy, and eventually saying yes to everything, you're going to have a spider web, but you'll start identifying which one of these lanes are producing the most for you, which one makes the most sense, which one has the most potential. And then the idea is to remove and start doubling, tripling down on one of those lanes, right? And so I realized after showing up to these meetings, we weren't making a whole lot of progress. I was now back down in the weeds on a startup, right? When I have a mastermind that we're trying to launch. Like, it just makes zero sense for me to be in the weeds on a startup, even after investing money. So I went there and said, I don't, like, if I ever get paid back, then great. If I don't, it's all good too. I already know the type of individuals you are. If it's successful and it works, I'll get paid. If it's not, we all took the risk. But at the end of the day, I can no longer invest my time or energy or anything into this business. So at this point, if you want to give up our 20% equity to somebody that can come in and serve this business at a greater capacity than myself right now, I'm 100% cool with that. However you guys want to slice up our equity, whatever you want to do that will help the business move forward. I'm more concerned about the business moving forward than I am retaining money, ownership, or anything like that. I said, I believe in the business. I believe what it has the ability to do. I just can't I can't be in the weeds on a startup when we have, $16 million in revenue worth of businesses that we currently operate and more businesses on the horizon that could really start turning seven figures very, very quickly. And so it just doesn't make sense to me to play this, 10-year game or 5-year game to go compete against Zillow. Right. So that's really what it was, is like a real estate type website that we invested in. And we wanted to not just compete against Zillow, but potentially be gobbled up by them because we were knocking on their door. Right. That was the ultimate goal. But there's just other things right now that don't drain my energy, that actually fulfill me and make me money today. And with that said, I had to make the tough choice of removing things that no longer serve me. And I think a lot of people do a horrible job at removing things that aren't serving them. Therefore, they stay stuck in the same situation. Right. And so there's a lot of things that aren't serving individuals at this point in their life, but yet the habit is so ingrained that they just keep doing it over and over on autopilot without even understanding what they're doing, because they don't ever ask themselves enough questions to try to say, well, why am I getting this result? What could I do different? How can I, put myself in a situation 2 years from now to not be where I'm at? Because you have to start looking, 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the road and start making decisions today that will affect you then. You either are making decisions immediately rewarding yourself now, or the decision that you make today is going to reward you in 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, whatever it is. And I made a commitment to start making decisions that serve me, within the next 2 or 3 or 5 years. That startup, I just didn't see us competing in a 2, 3, 5 year time frame. It's probably more like a 10-year timeline. And I had to remove that and had to say no to it, even though it's something that I loved and invested money in.
Yeah, I mean, even going out that far, there's so many things, so many variables that could change and come up. And if you're just waiting for that long for something to turn, I think that might be a little too long. And
yeah,
I'm sure
it was a big play, right? And I figured that we put leaders in place and we would have a little bit more time to have some fun and get down into the weeds and do startup stuff, meet new people, go through that whole process. But
yeah,
I did it for a year. We were a year in and we didn't make a whole lot of progress. There was not one person that was kind of the head of the company. All 5 of us had different business ventures going on that we kind of come together once a week for an hour, figuring out what we want to do next. And the problem is there was no head to the dragon. We all had our own things going on. That's why I said, why don't you give my ownership to somebody that could be here day to day? I said, you got to understand, if we meet an hour once a week, that's 52 hours. Somebody can work that in fucking 7 days, 5 days, you know what I mean? In 1 week. And so we're getting in a year, what it might take somebody 1 week to do. I said, I'm not about it, because I don't mind putting my input and helping, as long as we have a head to the dragon, somebody that's steering this thing and operating it on a day-to-day basis, which it didn't have. So I said, give that ownership to somebody that would be willing to do that.
That's dope, man. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. 52, obviously 52 hours over an entire year, that ain't shit. Damn
not enough.
Like you said, why didn't you guys put somebody in place, as opposed to just kind of backing out?
Because it kept needing more and more money, more and more money, more and more money. And some of them weren't as financially stable as we are. Right. And so I had already spent a little bit of money on some programming costs outside of what they had spent money on, just to try to help the thing progress and go along. And I just felt as though that, I just needed to remove myself from the situation, because a lot of the eyeballs were on me in order to make it work, or the money situation or whatever it was. And I said, I'm not about it. I'm not.
Yeah, for sure.
Not it. So, but I'm still in all the group text message thread. It looks like they're starting to try to figure something out and put somebody in place, but still hasn't been figured out 2 months later. So, glad I made that decision.
Well, I'm hoping one day I could, maybe we might even be in the same city at the same time, man. You never know, man. We're both all over the place. So I'm hoping to connect with you guys live again. I appreciate your time for doing this, man. This has been super cool. I know this is a little outside of what you're typically doing, but like you said, man, this is kind of just my startup process. I just want to get the information out there.
You'll refine it. Yeah.
Instead of like worrying about everything being perfect at first, you know?
Yeah, no, I enjoyed it. I appreciate you reaching out. Appreciate you doing it, dude. It was fun.
Yeah, and it seems like there's a lot of people that enjoyed themselves in this room. So I appreciate you guys for tapping in. And yeah, man, that's that.